Thanks for joining us here at Whiskey Throttle Media. We're at Glen Helen Raceway today, and we've got our Stark Varg that we built a project out of. Now, you can't put an exhaust on this thing and, you know, reeds or whatever. Obviously, there's some limitations. But what we can do is get this thing handling better, make it look trick, and kind of address some of the things that we think can make it better. So that's what we did here with our bike. And I'm going to start with just the aesthetics of this thing, because I went to my buddies at SKDA and said, hey, you know, this is a futuristic kind of bike. Like, what can we do? Let's do like a Tron vibe. And man, if they didn't just knock it out of the park like they always do. I love the look of this thing, from the little stickers around the rims, the cool, you know, blue chrome kind of writing and stuff in it. It's beautiful. If you guys are in the market for graphics, check these guys out. They just kill it. They do such a good job. They fit great. They last a long time. So I love it. We also went to Nihilo Concepts for lever grips, which I like. They're grip donuts, which I like. I don't ride enough now. I get Yama thumb if I just jump on and go too long. We did ODI grips and bars, and then we made a switch on the tires. And for anybody that has one of these, day one stuff, you got to pull these tubes out. They put in this paper thin tube that it'll pop. I guarantee you go home with a flat if you go and ride with this thing. It's they did it to save weight, and it's not worth it. Pull it out, put in a regular tube. You'll thank me, because it'll save you a flat tire. So that's one thing. We went ahead and replaced the stock tires with Dunlop MX34s, the gold standard. This is the tire of choice for me. And then everything else, we pretty much left stock. You could do a seat cover, you could do, you know, chain and sprocket. The stock stuff's pretty good. We just ran with it. You know, we didn't want to get too crazy. The stock foot pegs are really good. They're really high quality, a great platform. So we didn't get too carried away. Now there's a few things that I've learned along the way, and we're going to probably do more videos as we go, talking about, you know, things that we find out. One is this. I noticed about 2 weeks ago, this had been sitting in my garage as we're getting it prepped. The battery had dropped down to like 87. And I'm like, man, what the heck? You know, it was full when I got it. So I get it on the charger, take it to 100%, pull it off. You don't want to leave this thing on the charger all the time. Overnight, bad idea. These things can get hot and catch fire if you know, in the wrong circumstances. So just charge it till it's full and then pull it off. So I get it to 100, I unplug it. About 5 days go by before the test. When I get here today, it's at 89%. I'm like, what the heck, man? So if you're gonna leave it sit for any length of time, you gotta shut it completely off. And that's the up and down buttons, hold them both in together. The whole thing will beep and shut completely down. If your light is flashing just every so often, it's in sort of a standby mode, and it will slowly drain the battery. And even if it sits for a while, just check it, because it'll still drop a little bit. It's just the high performance batteries have a tendency to do that. They're not designed to hold a charge. They're designed to let go of a lot of energy in a short period of time. So just some food for thought. As far as the grips go, I wanted to mention this. ODI makes a universal grip, because this is a fly-by-wire. They don't make a cam, obviously, for this. There is no cam. So it's a standard left grip, and then the right is a universal, it just glues on. Both of them, or, you know, this one glues on, that's a lock-on. So it's just a way, if you're looking for a way, like, how do I put grips on this thing? Check out ODI. They've got a universal grip that works perfectly for these. So check those guys out. How did this thing go? We also, the other big piece that we did here, and something we noticed when we rode it stock, was just the suspension. It's okay, but we wanted it to be a little bit more high performance. And so that was kind of our big focus today, was let's make this thing really handle well. And so we went to JBI. JB over there does a great job. He's done projects for us before, and he's been doing a lot of work on these Vargs. He's got one himself. So they've been out, they've got kind of different stages. This is kind of just stage one, different valving and setup for my speed and weight and everything else. So we're gonna bring him on and talk about a little bit what he did and how that was. But that was sort of our big push for this, was let's get it really handling well. As far as the maps go, we got this thing set at 65 horsepower, 35% engine brake regen. So that's kind of where we're sitting now. We're gonna toy with that again. We may come back with some different things that we like, so we'll keep you posted. All right, so we're here with JB just to talk a little bit about what he did on this thing. And one thing that he does I really like, he gives you a laminated sheet. I don't know how well you can see this, but it's got kind of all of my settings where I'm at with clickers. If I want it a little softer, he's got options. If I want it a little firmer, he's got options. So there's no guesswork. He kind of tells you, hey, if you want to go firmer, here's a good setting, and softer is here. So I really appreciate that. Sag, all of it, everything's on here. So that's a nice touch.
Thank you, man. It's helped give customers confidence to tune their own bike in the absence of me, because I can't be everywhere at once. And I've found a lot of times if we give them a setting sticker, they're oftentimes married to those settings. They don't want to deviate from that. And I understand that. I've been there myself. So this is helpful to show them the nice tunable range that their suspension has and how much we can change the feel of the bike, whether it's a subtle change or a very noticeable change, depending on exactly what you do.
Yeah, and people do get scared to mess with their settings. They, you know, if you don't really understand what a clicker does, and sometimes I'm surprised, people who've ridden for years and years, and I go, hey, just, you know, stiffen up your compression a few clicks, and they're like, they glaze over like, I don't know even what that means. And I'm like, really?
Right.
All right. So, no, you know, I'm not talking crap, just some people don't get into it. And so,
understandable.
This is a really nice touch. So
Cool.
Tell me
Thank
a little
you.
bit about the Stark Varg suspension. You have, like I said, you have one of these, you've kind of been working on it.
Yeah, we've been busy the past 6-7 months on them. So to give you guys some context, the Stark Vargs come with KYB suspension on it. The front forks are very similar to what you'd find on the Yamaha YZF models. So very similar on that. And then the rear shock is also a KYB rear shock. And the aesthetic is very similar to what you'd find on the Suzuki RMZ 250. So just to give you guys some context of what components are on here. Now the settings are specific to Stark. So the settings in here that come from Stark are specific to them. For what we have gotten in for you is we have 5.0 spring rates in the forks and a 58 shock spring rate in the rear for you. And then on top of that, we did some valving as well. What's been fun for us, and I think what you picked up on today, is the uniqueness of the bike. So there's no vibrations, there's no shifting. The weight of the bike is very centered into the center of the bike, so the distribution of it is a little different than a gas bike. So with that, we've been learning how we have to uniquely tune this suspension. What really picked up on is how long you can accelerate for without shifting, and it can really make the rear end want to kind of sit low. I think that's a good thing for tracks like Glen Helen, where you want the suspension to be soft. It's maybe not an optimal thing for places like Fox Raceway, which have much bigger jumps. And that's why we kind of have those two settings package, which you alluded to earlier. But it's been really fun, man. Everything we've done so far, settings-wise, the bike has only gotten better. It's been one of those bikes where every time you tune it, it just responds even better. So it's been really fun, but the settings have been unique to the Stark.
And a lot of that you were talking about is just because of the weight. It's 266
pounds.
66 pounds. So a standard 450 is 30.
25, 26 pounds less.
So quite a bit different. And I always tell people, when you're riding it, it doesn't necessarily feel that heavy, but when you go to lift it onto a stand, you'll notice I have the Matrix push stand, you know, that you step on to lift it up. It's heavy when you go to lift it up, but there's only certain spots on the track where it feels heavy. And you and I talked a little bit about that, where sort of sections where the bike gets light and you're maybe going from, you know, turning one way to another, kind of that transition. I'll feel like, oh, I can feel the weight.
Yes.
But typically, if you're turning tight or jumping or whatever, it feels light. It feels like a 125 almost. So, because you don't have the mass of the crank and everything, it's just a different feel. So what challenges have you found in this suspension? What I noticed from stock, just for folks that are curious, just a lot more plushness on the bumps and chatter, but a really nice progression, like when I'm in G-outs or into big jump faces. Feels smoother and just more plush than what the standard one did.
Yeah, you articulated that perfectly. We thought the stock settings were competitive for a stock bike, but we noticed they weren't nearly as comfortable as a lot of other bikes can be. So we focused first on, let's make this thing plush. And we got that, and then the next challenge part has been getting to get the same amount of hold up as our gas bikes. We're getting it. It's much better than our setting 1. I think we're on revision 4 now, and that's what we've been selling to the public. But we still got some homework to do. Right now is the fun part, because I feel like the bike is plenty competitive to go race and ride. So now it's just, all right, what can we figure out over the course of time in terms of, we'll keep trying some more settings. Now I think we'll get more creative with our future settings, like let's really try for some stuff just to see where we end up. Because what I've learned is it either gets better, it gets worse, or it feels different. And you learn from all 3 of those.
Right.
Ideally, we only want better, but at least we can check off, hey, that got worse, or it just feels different. So our main focus now is try to maintain the plushness we have, but just get a little more hold up out of it so you can really ride this bike aggressive. Because I noticed each time we went out on the track, it seemed like you picked up more on the brake getting used to the handbrake, and you started getting much more just natural and fluid with the bike and learning, okay, I can really push this mother effer. Sorry, I didn't realize what I could say on this.
No, no worries. And you're exactly right. I went to the handbrake. So the rear is on the left, the front's on the right, like normal, but there's no foot pedals. And everybody told me, like, hey, it's different. You're gonna have to give it a couple rides, but once you get used to it, man, it's a game changer, because you just keep your feet in a real good position, like a solid planted position on the pegs, and you don't have to worry about it. You know, if you want to throw your leg out in a turn, great, but it comes right back to a good planted position on the peg, and everything is done with your hands. It's just a little tough for me to get used to.
Yes.
I'm a very old dog, and it's hard to learn new tricks, but I feel like I was getting it at the end of the day.
For sure.
So anyway, as far as the suspension goes, man, I was really happy. I appreciate what you did, and I want to keep working with you.
Yeah, me too, man.
And just, you know, tweaking it as I do things. I'll stay in touch with you on it. And if you guys are looking for a suspension on one of these, JB is really kind of out front and doing a lot of the work, and everybody's got to go out. This isn't like, oh, just put in what we have on the Yamaha.
No.
Doesn't work. Way different. So the way the power delivers, the weight, everything about it. So it's its own animal. And you guys are really out front of it and doing a good job. You also do coatings. You'll coat sliders and shock shafts and even nuts and bolts, right?
Yeah, 100%. We put a lot of effort into being very transparent. If you check out ridejbi.com, all the settings and parts that we discussed today, we have product pages for, and we give you all the technical and detailed info that we can. We feel like the more open and transparent we are, it shows the confidence in what we're doing, and the public seems to really appreciate that. I think the time has passed of you giving your suspension off to somebody and they go, I'm just gonna do something and give it back to you and say, all right, like, I can't tell you.
Yeah.
I think now it's, no, let's share with people and tell them what we did, why we did it, and most importantly, what you should expect as a rider when you get your suspension back.
Well, that's awesome. We appreciate everything you did here, buddy. Check them out if you guys need some suspension work. All right, so let me give you my overall impression of how things went today. You know, the biggest bummer about this thing, and I think the one thing holding these bikes back, is the battery life, right? I wanted to keep riding. I got down to 40%. I'm like, man, all right, let's come in and charge it. And I was able to get it up to 55% or something, 60% after an hour. It's just like, man, I want to ride more. And so if you're cruising around in a little backyard track or trails, this thing will last long enough and you're gonna have a blast on it. If you ride it hard, and especially out here at Glen Helen, we got these big hills, it's just draining that battery. And it's a bummer because I want to ride more. I guess that's the bummer. They're gonna have to figure out how to charge quicker and how to make it last longer. That's the hurdle they got to get over. As far as, let's just kind of start at the top here. Good handlebars, good grips. These are kind of a really comfortable setting, nice soft compound, bars are comfortable. I did go to the hand levers for brakes. And man, the first half of the day, I was a hot mess. I'm tipping over in turns. I'm like all over the place. It was a bummer. I'm just not used to it. I was using the rear brake like a clutch, like I just was in my head. By the end of the day, I did start getting it and remembering what was doing what and feeding it on, steadily and smooth and consistently. I think that it's going to be pretty sweet if I can get used to it. I'll keep you updated. The suspension was really good. We talked about that with JB. I was really happy with that. I'm going to keep tweaking on seeing how soft I can go before it's too soft. Different tracks, like he said, if it's a deeper dirt, bigger jumps, you're going to want a little more firm. So I'm going to have to play with that. Love the tires. That's a no-brainer. For a stock seat cover, it's pretty good. I'll probably hit the boys up at Seat Concepts and see about getting something with a little more ribbing. Because when you get on this thing, it wants to go, and it'd be nice to have some more ribs to hold you in place. No big deal, just kind of a minor little thing. Great foot pegs, I don't have any issues with that. So other than that, I love the look of it, I love the feel of it. I had a blast riding this thing. I did have one other guy that I was out here riding with, and I was kind of just cruising between sections, and he went blowing past me, and it startled me. And I was like, oh, okay, so that's what I'm doing to other guys when I pass them. You don't hear it at all, and all of a sudden it just goes by you. So I would just tell anybody that gets one of these, give people a little extra room. I don't know if you want to yell at them when you're coming up on them, but I think there is an issue with sound, and we need to have these things make some sound so that there's some awareness, because it'll startle you. And if a guy decides, oh, you know what, I'm going to peel off the track right here, and a guy's flying by, it could be problematic. So I I'm not a guy who believes in the politics of electric. I don't think we're saving the planet. I mean, I wouldn't plug this thing into a generator that was running gas. So, let's not be stupid here. All right, it's all coming from petroleum products. Whether I plug into an outlet that's powered by a coal-fired plant or, whatever. But I will say the performance side of it, it's undeniable. It's so fun. The way this power delivers, the amount of torque that's there immediately. I know people are going to hate on this, in the comments. They can flame away. I don't really care. It's a fun motorcycle. And if you've got property where sound is your issue that keeps you from riding, this is the answer. And you will have so much fun on this thing. I promise you. The only downside will be like, man, I want to ride longer, right? I don't want to wait as long for a recharge. That's going to be your only complaint. It's so fun. Trail riding, as long as you're not getting way out into the sticks, right? Like, there's a home for these. There's a place in our sport. Now, do I think that they should allow these into Supercross? Personally, no. I think it needs to have its own class, its own home, age group classes, etc., right? Maybe arena cross would be a cool home for it, that kind of thing. So, but I will say there's a place for this in our sport. I would hate to see gas engines go away because I love the visceral parts of that, the smell, the vibration, the sound. I don't think any of us want to lose that, but this is a cool addition. And so, as a media company, one, we need to try everything, right? That's part of what we do. As a guy who just loves riding dirt bikes, I can tell you it's fun. And all of you dorks that are making hating comments on the bottom, you've just never ridden one. So zip it until you go ride one. If you still hate it then, flame on. But this is a really fun motorcycle, and they did a really good job building it. There's a lot of little nuances to the electronics of it, and we're still learning that. So like I said, we'll come back and do a video down the road. But for our project and our initial impression here today, man, it's a lot of fun. It's very different trying to figure out how to jump without sound, just timing everything with throttle positioning and speed. It's different. I'm not gonna lie to you, it's different, but I started to get it just like I did the first time I rode the standard one. Unfortunately, by that time, your battery's dead, so you gotta wait to charge it up and come back another day, but it's really fun. So big thank you to all these companies involved. The SKDA boys, I just love working with them. They're so cool. They have such a cool look and vibe and feel, and they just knocked out what I was going for here. Dunlop, Nihilo Concepts, ODI, just thank you to all these brands. We appreciate their support and appreciate you guys watching. We'll have lots more projects coming up. We're just getting started with 2025 models, so stick around. We'll see you on the next one. If you like this video, please be sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of our future videos, comment what you thought, and share it with your friends.